I'm 23F, my husband is 28 male. We've been married for 4 years, together for 5. We met when I was 17 but didn't officially start dating until I was 18. My husband has done a lot for me, paid for entire semesters of college when my parents refused to complete a FAFSA, encouraged me to take out loans when we couldn't afford to pay for my tuition entirely, moved me away from abusive/toxic family members, but I'm really struggling with this. I had a baby 9 weeks ago. It was a rough birth. I was laid off from a really awesome job working in an office as a customer service rep due to budget cuts while pregnant. My husband swore he'd take care of us, we'd be able to survive off one income, etc. all that bullshit. I went through what little savings I had with a quickness because even though he talked a big game of taking care of us all, he still insisted I pay my share of the bills. I'm still in unemployment appeal hell. I was applying to jobs left and right up until I was 38 weeks pregnant and realized no one was gonna hire me so close to giving birth. I have a bachelor's degree and literally ended up getting a waitressing job at fucking Cracker Barrel just so I can have income coming in. My husband works a federal government job, and has 12 weeks of paid parental leave. He promised he'd watch over our girl while I worked to save money on daycare. I've been at this waitressing job for a little over a week. It's tough, going from an office setting to being on my feet all day. I'm in a lot of pain, but having some job is better than no job, so I just deal. The quality of care that my husband has been giving our daughter is getting worse, and worse. I come home to her not being changed, not being fed, or her blowouts are so bad she has shit up her back. I've tried talking nicely, I've tried being reasonable, I even suspected he had male postpartum depression or some hit, and he told me he just couldn't connect with her and all she does is cry and it's grating on his nerves. Today was the worst one yet. I came home to my daughter still in her crib, still in the pajamas she was in the night before. After I laid out clothes for her, she was red in the face from crying so much. I started to warm up a bottle and asked my husband when did he last feed her. His answer was I haven't given her a bottle today. She cries every time I try to hold her. I just lost my shit on him. All hell flew through me and I couldn't contain my anger. I called him a piece of shit, neglectful father and asked why the fuck did he knock me up / refuse / make me feel bad for using condoms if he wasn't going to take care of the child he helped create. I'm working 8-hour waitressing shifts, making $3 an hour plus tips, still bleeding, feet constantly hurt, trying to dry up this breast milk all while putting on a fake ass smile and trying my damnedest to make money and tips to have enough to bring home and pay my share of the bills every 2 weeks. I ended up locking baby and myself in the bedroom and told him to just fuck off and leave us alone. Managed to calm my daughter down with a bottle, a bath, and now she's napping, but I am still so fucking angry. My husband told his mom I guess and tattled on me. My mill decided to message me and give me a hard time because he doesn't know what he's doing. This is his first time being a parent and yeah, I pushed a 7-pound watermelon out of my vag and I'm still not neglecting my baby. I'm so angry and tired of this. Our daughter deserves better. Hell, I deserve better. I sent him a text that he either needs to shape up or ship the fuck out and his response was, "Where are you going to go?" And now I'm just beyond angry and frustrated with him and his level of care for the child he helped make. I'm even more angry that he ran to his mom, who can say something shitty to me but can't come over and help our son if he's feeling overwhelmed. My head is spinning and I just need someone to set me straight. I keep wavering back and forth on if I am the asshole or not over this. I just want my daughter to have a competent father and not a neglectful one. If I could up and leave him to make him face reality, I would, just to show him I'm not fucking around. Edit, for you guys saying leave now. I have $6 to my name. If I could leave, I would. I'm going to social services on Monday. The domestic violence hotline was able to connect me to one shelter and they're trying to find placement for us for the weekend. Stop messaging me that I should have aborted my baby or given her up for adoption. If I had known my husband would be so fucking awful at taking care of her, I would have never had her at all. Can't exactly turn back that clock. Some of you guys need a lesson in empathy. I do not want this to continue. Edit 2. Shelter won't have space for us until Monday. Literally asking old coworkers and the 3 friends I have left if they can loan me money to get a hotel room for the weekend. I have a to-do list for Monday, with social services and calling lawyers and seeing whatever the hell else can be done next week. This sucks. I feel horrible for my daughter and keep going from crying to being angry and full of rage again. My daughter deserves better and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure this never happens again to either of us. Thank God I have an IUD and he can't knock me up again. I feel both hopeless and just wanting to escape again. Here's hoping I have some success and can update y'all on Monday over everything. Edit 3, to clarify, I am not having sex with my husband. I got the IUD to have more permanent birth control since he was pressuring me to have sex before I was ready / even before the 6-week mark. I do not want to end up with another kid / Irish twins because of his refusal to wear condoms. I am going to call lawyers on Monday to talk about divorce. I don't want to be with him any longer and I want better for myself and my daughter. People are asking if I have GoFundMe. I don't, but I have Cash App and Zelle. I didn't expect this post to blow up with over 500 messages in my inbox, but you guys, I'm trying. I am doing my best to get away from him and keep him out of our lives for good. Oop, I don't even think it's depression. He just doesn't fucking care and thinks he is getting 12 weeks of paid leave to fuck around and fuck off. I have $6 to my name, I have to rebuild my savings somehow to get the hell away from him. I don't have family I can trust, unless I want my newborn to end up drinking Mountain Dew at 12 weeks old and being neglected/abused like I was a kid. I have scars from my mom putting cigarettes out on me to teach me a lesson, but I'm going to see if this qualifies us for a women's shelter or something. Neglecting an infant isn't okay at all, and I've had as much as I can take neglect. He starved the baby. She may have brain damage from dehydration. Take her to the ER for 4 fluids and to document the abuse. Update 1. I ended up taking baby girl to the hospital last night, after my soon-to-be ex-husband left to go drink or do whatever. I waited until he was gone, and packed a small bag with all of our important information and went to the emergency room since my daughter's pediatrician is closed until Monday. She was looked over and they kept her overnight for observation after I told them everything. She had a rash, they tested for a UTI, and I expressed my concerns over her having shaken baby syndrome, which wasn't something that even crossed my mind until a lot of people mentioned it in my first comments. The emergency room doctor said she was alert and bright, and very unhappy with the 4th. She cried so hard when they stuck her with the needle, so they wanted to observe her first before putting her through a CT scan. She was dehydrated, so she had to have an 4 put in. I got maybe 4 hours of sleep throughout the whole ordeal. She is such a happy, smiley, drooly little baby, and my fucking heart breaks for what she had to deal with at the hands of her father. I will have to have a CPS case opened against me and her father for his neglect. I'm going to cooperate with them so it helps me gain as much physical and legal custody over her. I don't feel confident that when we divorce and he is granted some type of custody, this won't happen again. Since I called out of both of my weekend shifts and Monday shift to go to social services, best believe I am applying for everything. SNAP, WIC, TANF, medical insurance, etc. I don't think I will have a job at Cracker Barrel much longer, but I literally took that job just to have a job. A couple people messaged me with remote jobs that I might be able to get with my degree. Once we're settled in the shelter, I'm also hoping they will be able to help me find a decent job, hire an attorney that won't cost $5,000 for me to divorce my husband, and help me set up child support payments. He can fuck all the way off into the sunset for all I care, but I didn't knock myself up by myself. So many of you were kind, offering me places to crash and support. I am so thankful and cried a lot. A lot of you have been in my situation and gave me words of hope when I was feeling really down and dumb over my choices. I have a hotel room for the next 2 nights thanks to awesome people in this sub. We are going to the shelter on Monday where we can start rebuilding pieces of our lives, and honestly, I wouldn't shed a tear if my soon-to-be ex decides to just give up his parental rights. I've practically been a single parent for the past 9 weeks, what's another 18 years of doing it by myself? I literally left with the clothes on my back and a bag for us both to share, so the thought of just starting from scratch is terrifying, but I know it's what I have to do. I know a lot of people were worried about us and our safety, but we are safe. We are okay, for the most part. I still go back and forth from sadness to rage to feeling down and being angry at my 17-year-old self for thinking an older man would take care of me, and it turned out to be a bunch of lies. I have blocked my mill and soon-to-be ex, and I'm genuinely thinking of changing my phone number to cut off all communication with them both unless I'm ordered to by a court or something. I just want to wash my hands clean of him and pretend he doesn't exist. I can never trust him, or his mom really, again with my daughter. As someone who didn't grow up with a father and it made my mom hate me because I looked like him, I have a very clear memory of her throwing a pot of water at me because I made a face that looked like my dad's. Part of me hurts for my daughter because I sure picked a shitty sperm donor for her, but she deserves so much better than him. I will post again on Monday for everyone once we are safe in the shelter. Update 2. To make a very long story short, I am 23, he is 28. We officially started dating when I was 18 and he was 23. He groomed me, manipulated me, and has shown himself to be a horrible, neglectful and abusive person. I had to leave him and take our 9-week-old daughter to the emergency room because while I was working, while he's on paid parental leave, he left our daughter in a soiled diaper, no change of clothes, and didn't feed her. I ended up taking her to the emergency room where I found out she has a rash. She was dehydrated and had to have an 4 put in. He couldn't connect with her and said her crying was grating on his nerves and pushed me to go back to work so we could save on daycare. A CPS case will be opened against us both because the emergency room doctor is a mandated reporter. I'm terrified of her being taken away from me because I thought I could trust him to watch the child he helped create. He tried to pressure me into having sex before my 6-week checkup / before I was ready. He got mad when I had an IUD placed at my 6-week appointment because I wanted something more permanent for birth control because of his refusal to wear condoms. I'm terrified of the consequences of his actions even though I'm the one who left. I'm the one going to a women's shelter on Monday. I'm going to ask about legal aid to get the divorce process rolling. I'm terrified of him ending up with some sort of physical custody and he abuses / neglects her on his time. I called out of my weekend shifts and my shift on Monday and I'm pretty sure I won't have a job to go back to, but I don't care. My daughter is more important. She is such a smiley, happy, drooly little girl with big blue eyes and the cutest little dot nose, and I'm so angry and frustrated and sad for her that her father turned out to be this way. I'm terrified that I won't be able to divorce him and be free of him. I'm scared to start from scratch. I left with the clothes on my back and our important paperwork and more stuff for baby girl than myself. I haven't showered in over 24 hours and I think I slept maybe 4 hours last night. I keep looking at my sweet baby. The anxiety in the pit of my stomach is killing me. We are going to the shelter on Monday where we can start rebuilding pieces of our lives, and honestly, I wouldn't shed a tear if my soon-to-be ex decides to just give up his parental rights. I've practically been a single parent for the past 9 weeks, what's another 18 years of doing it by myself? I literally left with the clothes on my back and a bag for us both to share, so the thought of just starting from scratch is terrifying, but I know it's what I have to do. His own mother tried to defend him, saying he didn't know any better and it was his first time being a parent, but I'm not the one who left my newborn in a shitty, piss-soaked diaper and let her be filthy and hungry and cry until she was red in the face from needing someone. I don't know if I can ever forgive myself for what she had to go through because I was pressured into going back to work to pay my share of the bills at the adamance of her father. I just want to wash my hands clean of him and pretend he doesn't exist. I can never trust him, or his mom really, again with my daughter. As someone who didn't grow up with a father and it made my mom hate me because I looked like him, I have a very clear memory of her throwing a pot of water at me because I made a face that looked like my dad's. Part of me hurts for my daughter because I sure picked a shitty sperm donor for her, but she deserves so much better than him. As someone in a similar situation, and I wish while I was with my ex had gotten CPS involved. 2 years later we did have an investigation, but at this point I can only say what I saw 2 years ago. Now that CPS is involved, they are going to want Op to file an ex-parte order so that she can show her protective capacity. Please Op file that with all the endangerment you have witnessed. Now second story. Colleagues' envy pushes our relationship to the edge. I plan to confront her but fear she will play the victim and gaslight me. I 35F work in a small department, think like 20 people and only half speak English. I generally get along with everyone. Someone new joined the department a few months ago. At first we get along very well, and then it was a sudden turn. I think it comes from, we both joined a new gym at the same time. I've kept going, and there's a noticeable difference in my appearance now, and she didn't keep it up. I don't care that she stopped going to the gym. I go with my husband, 40 male, and I'm more than happy going to gym classes alone. When she coming with me, she was always nice, sometimes asks for rides. I showed her to use the weight machines as my husband is teaching me how to use them and she wanted to learn. Everything was fine. Since she stopped going, the passive aggressiveness has started. Clearly she's annoyed at herself and is taking it out on me. Examples of the passive aggressiveness: talking over me loudly every time I start to speak, and she only does this to me. If I do manage to get out a sentence, immediately changing the subject, so my participation has ended. Literally looking annoyed and irritated that I even exist, to the point someone else asked her what the matter was because she looked so annoyed, and it was because she was sat next to me at lunch. Now the issue is, I'm a direct person, not in a, oh I have no filter, I'm honest regardless of people's feelings kind of way. I'm direct as in, I want to ask her if she has some kind of issue, what we can do to resolve it so we can move on and work as civil grown-ups. But, I already know the personality type. She will gaslight me, play the victim, and I will be the villain. My plan is to just ride it out. I plan to move departments in the new financial year to get more experience in a different area, and this was planned before she even joined our team. She isn't the reason I'm leaving. But I have slowly started to withdraw myself, because being around her makes me feel so bad. Yesterday we had a work party. They'd hired a property with a pool and rooms to stay over. I'd made the decision not to drink or stay over, as I know if I drink, I'd end up confronting her, she'd probably cry, and the night would be ruined because of me. Instead, as I do some freelance work Sunday mornings, I told everyone I couldn't stay or drink as I had work, which is true, although if I wanted to I could have rearranged it. I also left super early, which shocked a few people and they didn't want me to go, but I didn't want to be around someone who makes me feel so unwelcome. I told them being around people drinking was making me want to drink, so I had to leave. I cried all the way home in the car. I ended up actually going out drinking with my husband, and another coworker was there who'd left early, as her boyfriend is traveling for work for a few months, so it was their last night together. So we ended up drinking and talking. So I'm worried I will have hurt some of my colleagues' feelings, when I used the excuse of not being able to drink, and then went out drinking anyway. But I honestly had to get out of there. They're all very close and like this girl, and she's a very big personality, so I can't confide in anyone. I can just count down to leave. I have had mental health issues before, where I've become paranoid and convinced everyone hates me, but this time I'm certain it's what's happening, because it's only her. I don't think anyone else hates me. But I don't understand how no one else can see this. I just needed to rant this out. I know I've brought up I think it's the gym thing. Never have I asked her why she stopped going, or even brought up to her about it, because I'd feel like I was embarrassing her. So it's like I'm banging on about it to her that she stopped, so I've not upset her in that sort of way either. Use this technique whenever she does something new. Just point it out. In front of people. Did you mean to throw away my lunch? Do I need a bigger name tag for them? Haha, hope you don't need new glasses. Oh no, you did underscore. How can we stop that from happening again? It's not about changing her, it's really about changing you. Being someone who is driven off from a party in tears is a you thing, unless she was physically threatening you or being unsafe. Maybe you have family members who made you feel powerless or weak? This is a good time to break those reactions and get strong. Oop, well, you hit the nail on the head with the family members, yes. Although I'm not wanting to unpack that right now. But I've never made the connection before. I think the hardest thing for me is I can be quite confrontational, not in a physical way, but in a way that I will just tell her. But she would love that, because then she can be the victim. Everything you've said is also the advice my husband gave me. At the moment, with having other duties, we're currently on different lunch times, and spend very little time together, but I will stop withdrawing, and I will insert myself wherever I want, and start lightly pointing it out. I am also feeling a little petty, and may just talk non-stop about how great the gym is and how great I'm looking. But I'm not sure if I should lower myself to that, although I'd probably enjoy it. I'm just glad I'll be in a completely different building tour in a few months if all goes to plan. Update 1. Hi everyone, 9 months ago I posted about dealing with a passive-aggressive coworker and I was having a very bad time. I didn't get many comments, however, I have such a great update, and I feel great that I wanted to post again. After I made that post, things escalated. She also said she would be leaving in X amount of months to move to a new city, and her last day was around the same time as mine. Hers was the Friday, mine was the following Tuesday. She excluded me more than ever, always made sure to change the language to one I don't speak but the rest of them do. What started to bother me was the people I was supposedly friends with were still treating me as normal, but were passively doing nothing about this. So they'd all do things, go out for lunch during working hours and not invite me, but then would talk to me like everything was normal, and supported me with the job. I just couldn't marry the two things up. I honestly thought I was going crazy. Anyway, when I only had a few days left, things had got really bad, and another coworker came to me, and said she could see what was going on, that I wasn't crazy, and once the mask was lifted, I felt so much stronger. I had actually tried to confront her about if she had problem with me, and she ran away from me saying there's no problem, coward. I'd talked about having some leaving drinks, because I was moving to another building. Her last day was the Friday, and our building had about 20 people in, everyone was invited except maybe 3 of us. My feelings were very hurt. I ended up confiding in my boss, who told me loads of people had complained about her, and she wished I'd come to her earlier. She also told me that if she hadn't have said she was leaving she would have been sacked for her toxic behavior. I told my boss I couldn't handle all the fake goodbyes on my last day, so she agreed I could do a half day and leave without telling anyone. Which is exactly what I did. I got a message after asking about meeting up and why I'd left without saying anything. So I told them the truth, that I thought we were friends, and this is how they'd made me feel by ignoring what was happening. So we've sort of cleared the air, and we've seen each other at work events still, and it's fine, but we've said we'll meet up for a proper chat and clear everything properly. I was invited to a birthday party yesterday, and the toxic one was there. But I felt so strong. I think someone may have also said something to her, because as soon as I walked in, she put her head down and looked a bit panicked. I wasn't going to cause drama at someone's birthday party, but I did outright ignore her. I was talking to someone, and she tried to come and literally shout over me, and I didn't even acknowledge or look at her, and kept talking, and so did the person I was talking to, and she had to wait for us to finish to speak. At one point she was playing beer pong, the ball was rolling towards me, I could have stopped it with my foot, instead I stepped over it and walked to get a drink, and she was having to chase after the ball. She tried to give me an annoyed look, but I glared at her daring her to challenge me, and she put her head down and didn't dare, petty but felt good. At the end of the night my husband came to pick me up. He came in just to say hello to a few people, he's pretty well liked by everyone, but didn't fancy a party full of women. She tried to run up, to speak to him, and he glared at her and shook his head. She stopped dead in her tracks and scurried off. So today I feel great, I feel like I took back my power, and showed her how small and weak she is without causing any drama. If she dared approach me, I'd have told her not to speak to me, but I'm glad it didn't come to that, as I didn't want to cause drama at someone's birthday. I also gave up drinking a few months ago, and I'm so glad, because if I got drunk I'm not sure I would have left with so much dignity. I'm not sure anyone cares or will read this, but I feel amazing today so wanted to share how good it feels to have my power back. Edit, I'm getting some comments about coworkers not being the same as friends. I know this. In my first post I detailed everything. We were friends, we were hanging out together outside of work a lot. We also went to the gym together, she'd asked me for help with some of the weight machines, so I happily showed her. I comforted her when she was upset about some personal things. She actually stopped going to the gym, and seemed to turn on me when I was getting compliments for my progress and clear body changes. Also, even if we were never friends and just coworkers the whole time, I'd still expect some mutual respect, speak in a language everyone understands, English is everyone's first language BTW, don't talk over me, don't dismiss my ideas, or try to put me down in meetings. There was clear unprofessionalism here. We are all grown-ups, there is still a level of civility and decency that we all should give in a professional environment. And actually I made it sound like we work in an office because I wanted to make sure it stayed anonymous, but actually we work in a small school, so it's extra important we set an example for the kids on how we treat each other. Oop, honestly, it felt amazing. If I'd have been confrontational and kicked off, I don't think I'd have felt as good as I do now. I didn't even have to say anything and she cowered. It's not like she can take any actionable HR complaints about you. Oh, it was disrespectful toward me when he didn't even react to the names I was calling him. Stupid, right? That's the territory she's begun exploring. Don't give her a map. Oop, she actually left the company. We no longer work together. So I've got no worries about that. And the amount of complaints that my boss had about her, I don't think I'd have anything to worry about anyway. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she's one of these women who crush on men easily, developed a crush on your husband and created an imaginary competition with you in her head. Being you stuck with the gym and were making noticeable progress and she didn't stick with it. In her mind she was losing the competition, so she got nasty. I also would not be surprised if she made a pass at your husband and he rejected her. Oop, I never got vibes from her that she was into my husband, but I do think she was jealous of our relationship. We were a similar age, I'm 36, she's 34, and I was settled, and she talked a lot about wanting a relationship. But they never really spent any time together. I've actually had other women put themselves in competition with me about my husband before, and this didn't feel the same. I have to say my poor husband just wants to be left alone. He can't think of anything worse than someone hassling him with a crush. If she'd have ever come onto him, he'd have told me, and he would have laughed in her face. I honestly think she's incredibly insecure, doesn't like her body. I was making changes and have the life she wants, which is settled in a relationship, and I have stability. Which is sad, and I would feel sorry for her if she hadn't been so awful to me.